I would say my last relationship definitely taught me, like, when somebody show you who they are,
believe them.
The 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th time, you have to believe them.
I think Little Baby is bisexual. I was sucking his, and I started going down. And he didn't stop me. He put his legs back to him.
He grew up in a world where every single moment tested his strength, where survival was not a choice but the only reality. The air was filled with tension. Every block carried shadows of danger, and dreams seemed like luxuries that no one could afford. He learned quickly that nothing was given freely, that trust could vanish in an instant, and that loyalty was a currency rarer than gold. Yet, in that same world, he discovered something powerful. A voice, a rhythm, a way to turn all that chaos into art. Music became his escape, but also his weapon, a way to fight back against the weight pressing down on him. He scribbled lyrics in tattered notebooks under dim lights, using words to heal wounds no one else could see. It wasn't about chasing fame at first. It was about survival, about finding a reason to wake up and keep pushing forward when everything around him screamed otherwise. His early verses carried the grit of pain and the spark of determination, and though the world didn't yet notice, he was already building something bigger than himself, something unstoppable. As time passed, his voice began to echo beyond the walls of his neighborhood. People connected with the rawness in his words, because they didn't just hear music. They heard themselves in his struggle, their own pain reflected back in his verses. The crowds grew, the buzz spread, and suddenly his name started carrying weight. For the first time, he felt the taste of recognition, but with it came a new reality he hadn't expected. The same streets that once ignored him now cheered him on, but hidden behind the applause were jealous eyes and greedy hands. People he trusted began to change, some growing distant, others drawing closer with fake smiles and empty promises. The bigger his stage got, the more he realized how quickly love could turn into envy and how fragile loyalty truly was. Nights in small studios turned into tours, interviews, flashing cameras, but none of it gave him the peace he thought success would bring. Instead, the noise grew louder, the pressure heavier, and he found himself caught between two worlds, the hunger that had built him and the fame that now threatened to consume him. With the spotlight came shadows he never imagined. The industry, once a dream, revealed itself as a machine that cared less about his story and more about profit. What once felt like freedom now felt like a cage, where contracts dictated his. Every move and the weight of expectations robbed the joy from the art that once saved him. At the same time, betrayal struck where it hurt the most. People he called family turned their backs. Friendships that once seemed unbreakable dissolved overnight, and every lie cut deeper than the last. The pain was unbearable, the loneliness suffocating, and he found himself spiraling, caught between the man the world saw and the broken soul no one knew. Nights blurred together with smoke, with silence, with thoughts he couldn't escape. Fame had given him everything he thought he wanted but stripped him of the very thing that mattered most: trust, peace, and authenticity. And slowly, he began to wonder if the dream he chased was nothing but a curse wrapped in lights and applause. Then came the breaking point, the moment where everything he built seemed to collapse at once. The media turned on him. The same fans who once praised him now questioned his every move, and the betrayals piled so high he could barely breathe. He felt exposed, humiliated, and more alone than he had ever been before. The boy who once used music to escape his demons now felt buried under them, unsure if he had anything left to give. But in the silence of rock bottom, something shifted. For the first time in years, he was forced to confront himself, to strip away the noise, the contracts, the fake friendships, and face the truth. He realized that the music was never about them. It was about him. It was the only thing that had ever been truly his, the only thing no one could take away. In that clarity, he picked up his pen again, Not for fame, not for applause, but because he needed to. Because telling his story wasn't just art, it was survival, and survival was something he had always known how to do. When he returned, he was no longer the same man. The world that tried to bury him only taught him how to rise stronger, sharper, and wiser. He cut ties with the snakes, rebuilt his circle with silence and solitude, and poured his truth into every word he wrote. His music was no longer about chasing approval. It was about liberation, about reclaiming his voice. Slowly, the people began to notice again, but this time he didn't need their validation. Every performance became a statement, every lyric. A scar turned into strength, every stage a battlefield where he stood unshakable. The crowd roared louder than ever, but he stood calm, grounded, not consumed by their cheers but fueled by his own fire. He had turned pain into power, betrayal into resilience, and loss into purpose. And in that moment, looking out at faces, lit with his story, he knew the truth. This wasn't his end. It was only his beginning. Because legends aren't born from comfort, they are forged in fire. And he was living proof that no matter how many times you're broken, if you rise, you become untouchable, unstoppable, unforgettable.